Welcome to this week's Whole Week Costa. Today we're going to be talking about Star Wars Clone Wars episodes Blue Shadow Virus and Mystery of a Thousand Moons. Kev, you want to start us off with the descriptions for Blue Shadow Virus?
Yeah, Blue Shadow virus. Padme and Jar Jar are captured while searching for a secret separatist bioweapons lab, sparking Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka to try and save their friends and halt the release of a deadly virus. These were great episodes.
Yeah, these two episodes, they're I guess one storyline. Uh, so I feel these two episodes were better than the movie we reviewed last week.
Yeah, these two episodes actually aired as a two-part, as like a 1 hour special on the same day. So I guess these kind of were like mini movie like, and yeah, we talked about the Clone Wars movie last week, which was like fine, but this was definitely a lot more interesting. I don't know, maybe we're just sort of predisposed to like this with our current pandemic going on.
Yeah.
This one felt a little more realistic than Baby Jar Jar.
But I did, however, like how they set it up. Like a lot of the missions so far have been like, oh, we'll just put Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi on the mission. And you're like, well, there's a million other Jedi. Like, why don't you pick them? But this one specifically is on Naboo. And Padme goes, yeah, Obi-Wan has like a relationship with the Gungan, so we should send him. Like, there's a reason they're sending Obi-Wan.
Yeah, and then I guess Anakin would tag along with him anyway, since she's trying to have a relationship
And then
with him,
Ahsoka
obviously.
has
So
to tag along because Anakin's Padawan.
yeah, and I don't know. One of my notes I took during the episode was that her fighting style is the best, honestly. Like I don't know, just I feel like she fights like Yoda in the prequel movies, like the sort of just bouncing around off of everything.
Yeah.
That's like later on in the episode when she's fighting the droids down that hallway.
And we've already talked about how the first season's kind of out of order. Uh, but the animation for this was A, excellent, and B, like Ahsoka's like a foot taller in this episode than like the last episode.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
I kind of want to go back and watch it and pay attention now.
Yeah, she seems like I don't know, like bigger. Like she went from like, you know, 11-year-old girl to like a 14-year-old girl, and she hit that growth spurt and gained like 7 inches overnight from the movie to now.
Yeah, I was wondering. So one of the things I thought it was weird that they're going to contain this virus, and all the Jedi went down without any sort of biomed suits on. But then I didn't know if the Force would protect them. I didn't know if Ahsoka would be immune to it since she's a different race. I really didn't know. Apparently, none of that was true.
Yeah.
I also assumed the stormtroopers' helmets would filter out viruses, but I guess they don't filter that finely.
Yeah, because when we saw them with Plo Koon, when they were in that episode, like first in the very beginning, I think the second episode, like they were in space and they're like, "Oh, we can breathe a little bit through these helmets, but not for a long time." So, I also thought that the stormtrooper helmets, like if they kept them on, they'd be good because they do have, breathing apparatuses, so they can go to all the different worlds in battle. So,
Yeah,
I
why would the
that was
stormtrooper
good.
helmets filter out viruses? Like, I thought that was kind of weird.
Yeah. Yeah, that you think it would be all bacteria and viruses. So,
So the beginning of this episode, we have a little more droids right stuff. So I feel like we bring that up every once in a while because that clever C-3PO moment where he tells the captured droid that he's on a separatist ship, and it's basically one of those like, tell me the plan again, I forget it, and but then C-3PO was like really freaked out about them torturing that droid. He like requested to deactivate himself temporarily, I guess, because he didn't want to watch another droid be tortured. So I thought that part was interesting.
yeah, that is good. And then right after that, we find out, you know, Jar Jar's a bumbling idiot, like destroying, like doing the old library bookshelf thing where he knocks down one and it does a domino effect, but like he kind of saves the day, being a bumbling idiot again.
Kind of. That kind of bothered me too because I mean he kind of did, but like I assumed that like Jar Jar would like eat that bug, and then Jar Jar would say like, "Oh, those bugs are only found in wherever." But then like it took Padme figuring out to ask him that, which I kind of didn't like. I wanted Jar Jar to do it all on his own.
Right.
But
Yeah, she had to like hold his hand and walk through it. Like, where are these, Jar Jar?
yeah, and I mean, especially after we've seen Jar Jar like legitimately save the day before, it seemed like an unnecessary step backwards for his character to go back to just 100% bumbling idiot again. Because I mean, he only screws things up in these episodes. He doesn't do anything good.
Right. And yeah, it's almost like Jar Jar, like they don't know how to write him. Like sometimes he's heroic and sometimes he's a bumbling idiot. But all in all, like he doesn't get the big picture of the war, I don't think. Like they make him seem like he doesn't get the big picture. He just wants to save his friends.
Maybe, and I mean, I guess if everyone does that, then you wouldn't have all the fighting, right?
Right. So and then the scientist, he was a
Dr.
Nazi
Vindy,
scientist, right?
what's that?
The scientist,
Hmm.
he's a Nazi scientist, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, yeah. I mean, essentially, he doesn't care about any of the outcomes. He's or who was the group from the Captain America movies? I don't know why I can't think of it right
Hydra.
now. Hydra, yeah, he's
Yeah,
a
Dr. Nuvo Vindi.
yeah. That's definitely an evil scientist name. Now here's my question though. So why don't the droids always use bio warfare? Because they're
Right.
droids. Like you would think that they would always that they would have a lot of bioweapons because I mean they can totally eradicate a planet with bioweapons and then just inhabit it. I
Well,
mean,
they tried to do that a couple episodes ago where they had that bioweapon that the Jedi stopped, Yoda stopped, I believe.
I don't remember. I don't remember that. I don't.
Remember the big fat nematoid? I forget their names or whatever. The general, and they were trying to do like that the planet killing weapon where it would destroy like all the trees and life.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. Oh, you're right. You're right. Oh yeah, yes, yes. That was like that that was some sort of like energy weapon sort of thing. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so I guess that was the same idea, but then again, why not? Like, it seems like bioweapons would be a better route to that because with the weapon they wanted to use, I mean, you also kill all the plants and trees and all that stuff, which might be beneficial to have on the planet. But you could wipe out all higher order life, or all humans, or all you could target to a specific race. Like, it just seems weird to me that the Separatist army doesn't have a huge bioengineering core. I mean,
right.
unless I guess the only reason I could think is, maybe space travel between planets is so common that they wouldn't want to take the risk of, okay, well, we want to wipe out this planet, but we don't want to wipe out these other planets because obviously there are some humans in the Separatist army. It's not just all droids, even though they use battle droids. So that's
Right.
maybe the other reason I could think they wouldn't want to start something that they then couldn't contain. But even then, with the level of technology they have, you would think that they could, invent some sort of short acting virus or something.
Yeah, but this virus that they're creating, it, the blue shadow virus is like a plague, and they're gonna release it on a whole bunch of different planets. And you would think that's like bad because the leaders, the generals of the droid or the separatists are all like, living beings, and this is gonna wipe out all the living beings. So that's probably why, because only their military is droids.
Yeah, well, I was unclear. Were the droids in the beginning trying to defend that base, or did they actually not want that weapon released?
I think they were trying to defend the base.
I guess. Yeah, I don't know. That's because I mean, I guess that makes more sense. But my initial impression when I watched it was thinking that they were a separate unit than the people working at the base. But that might not be true. I don't know because yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it was a little confusing, but you know, you see them in the base in the second episode. You see them in the base. The droids walking around when the virus escapes.
Yeah. And then with this episode, we had great dialogue finally.
Oh yeah, definitely.
After the movie, after watching the movie's dialogue, like I loved when Anakin was freaking out and he asked, and he said about all the reasons why he was freaking out, and he asked Obi-Wan why he wasn't on edge, and Obi-Wan said, "Well, I'm just better at hiding it." And then Anakin also said, or I'm sorry, Obi-Wan also said, "Better to have one planet infected than the entire galaxy." So I thought I thought that made it. I thought that was a lot more mature conversation and storyline than what we've had the last few episodes. Yeah, until we had. Sorry, go ahead.
These whole 2 episodes, they're some of the best episodes we have. I mean, you have good dialogue. You have a reason why we're following these 2 Jedi. You have a major problem on a major scale. You have a Nazi scientist or Hydra scientist. Like it's a well-written episode. I hope more episodes are like these.
Yeah, for me, it's probably the Malevolence still, and then these episodes.
Yeah. So you want to move on to the second part of this episode?
Until we had Stupid Mary Sue Anakin, where he saves Padme and then still captures the scientist, because why not? Like, I don't know. Yeah. That was annoying. Like, don't set up this false choice and then it doesn't matter. That was the only weak, I think, thing in this episode.
Yeah, they should have had her like trapped in a room or something like that.
I mean, they kind of did. They had it was like, "Oh, you can save my friends, you can capture me," and then Anakin's like, "Well, I can do both." Like, no,
like Obi-Wan gets the scientist. That could have been easier.
Yeah, true. If like Obi-Wan really caught him, and then it was like, "Oh, well, Anakin," and then there was some consequence for Anakin, like, "Oh, you actually failed your mission." Like, that's exactly what we talked about not doing.
Yeah, you can't put Padme you can't put one person in front of like the fate of the galaxy.
I mean, I guess it was, Ahsoka had that other Gungan stay up top and keep guard, and she's part of what stopped him. So I guess sort of in the end, Ahsoka really did save the day, but I mean, nobody really knows that. I feel like that's not, in the end, it's Anakin still saved the day. All right. So, Mystery of a Thousand Moons. The fatal blue shadow virus is released, infecting Ahsoka, Padme, and many clone troopers, and giving Anakin and Obi-Wan just 48 hours to find the antidote on a mysterious planet from which no visitor has ever returned.
I like this episode how it was a continuation of the first episode, but also had its own plot.
Yeah, that's true. It was a totally separate thing. I was trying to look up the character from Cowboy Bebop. That's like the kid engineer scientist, like the one in this episode. I haven't watched that show in a long time, so I forget his name. But that's who he reminded me of.
Typho. Well, no, that's the Star Wars kid's name.
Yeah. But yeah, this was cool because I mean, you had again with Jar Jar, you had Jar Jar mess up for no reason. Like, I don't know, everyone's clearly not shooting because Ahsoka is killing those droids, and then he shoots for some reason, then Padme has to tackle him. And then again, we just have to set up the BS choice of like, oh, we got to hurry up and save Padme now because her helmet came off. Like, I don't know. I didn't think we needed all that.
Sorry, his name is Jabo, not Typho. Typho
Jabo.
Is the captain.
Yeah, true. Yeah. I totally missed that when you said it as well. So one of the lines that bothered me was Obi-Wan said, "Just another boring day saving the universe." I feel like they're saving the galaxy, and I feel like they usually talk about it in galaxy-wide scale. Right. Because obviously with expansion of the universe and galaxies moving away from us, we don't really have causal contact with a lot of the rest of the universe. Maybe other galaxies in our local group, but that's it. So I think they usually talk about the galaxy. And even if this virus was released, it would not be a universe-wide virus. It'd only be a galaxy-wide virus, most likely. So that's one thing that bothered me. And then I also don't know why they would think that like they could quickly find a cure for the virus. I mean, no. Well, I guess that's two things, right? Because one, if there already was a known cure for this virus, then why were they so worried about it being released? And two, if there wasn't, why would they think they could find a cure like today, like that before they all died of the virus? Like,
Well, the Captain Typho, yeah, when they talk to him, they're like, "Oh, is there a cure?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's this roots on this weird planet." And they're like, "All right, let's go there." Like it was very like, "Why didn't you like? I know it's extinct, but we have viruses here. The CDC has and WHO has viruses that have gone, quote unquote, extinct, but they still have uh copies of it, and they still have antidotes for them, and they're still working on antidotes for things that they don't, like why wouldn't you just have antidote ready to go even though it's been extinct?
yeah, like in the national stockpile in the U.S., there's supposedly enough smallpox vaccine for everyone in the country, like in case that was re-released. So yeah, I mean, I don't know why they wouldn't have that. I guess that's another like in sort of a galaxy-wide civilization. Would you have that? Would you have a center like that on every planet? Would you only have it? Would there be certain more medical planets that would have that? That would be that would research for their whole like local group of planets.
Yeah, I mean the outer rim maybe not, but like the inner planets or the inner systems of the galaxy would definitely have, like Coruscant would definitely have a large medical uh facility that would hold antidotes and viruses and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. I don't know. Yeah, I thought some of the yeah I thought the whole idea in this episode of the virus and finding a cure I thought was really I don't know. This was definitely weaker than the first episode because of that. I mean, I guess you want to defend it. The argument you can make is that there is a known cure, but obviously there's a lot of scarcity of that cure. So if it was released, they wouldn't be able to find enough in order to process it. But then again, it's just a matter of finding what the chemical is in that root that cures the virus. So you think they can find a way to synthetically produce it again, especially with their more advanced technology. Like obviously for us today, like dealing with the coronavirus, like we know how to make a vaccine for it, but it's still taking months of like research and development to get it just right, and then it's going to take months to produce it. But we're talking about a much more futuristic civilization. Like you would think they'd have to find a way to more quickly synthesize that chemical. And like you said, why wouldn't this already have been done? Why wouldn't they have already worked on this? Especially if this was a galaxy wide, purge before. If this was such a big deal before. Again, I guess it really be similar to smallpox in our world. So we still have things to deal with smallpox, even though it's eradicated.
Yeah, I mean, they talk about in the previous episode, they talked about how it was eradicated like centuries ago, but centuries isn't that isn't that like long of a time?
I guess, yeah. I don't know. If it was a really long time ago, maybe that's why there really isn't any why no one cares about it anymore. But
Mm.
but then like I mean, but then it's also surprising that no one has synthesized it in the meantime. Because again, like in our world, I mean, smallpox is fairly recent, and there's I feel like this over looming threat of someone re-releasing it. So and we're talking about decades, not centuries.
Yeah, well, I'll put it this way in like terms of like the bigger Star Wars universe. Like everybody knew what the Blue Shadow virus was, but then if you watch the show The Mandalorian, like people don't know who the Jedi are. Like 20 years after, the fall of, the Jedi, or 30 years after the Empire comes crashing down, and like, so it's like there are these mythical people that not everybody knows about, but the blue shadow virus, everyone knew who that was, what that was instantly.
Well, the,
So
well, well, the Blue Shadow virus might be more. I mean, that might have been more prevalent than Jedi, right? Like, I think we brought up Warhammer before, where there's a lot. The galaxy is so massive that there's a lot of planets who have never seen have never seen like a higher level soldier, where you know some of the elite troopers are almost mythical because maybe once in 1,000 years one of them would come to your planet because it's so big. So maybe the Jedi are sort of like that, where they just we see the main planets and we see, obviously we're following the Jedi, so we're really aware of them, and it seems like there's Jedi everywhere. But maybe in some of these outer rim areas, maybe it's once in 100 years a Jedi comes by or something. Versus if the if the blue shadow virus was this prevalent, maybe it infected every world in the galaxy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They should still have an antidote for it.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, as far as the timeline, like a few hundred, like you were saying about a few hundred years not being that long ago in this context, like we still know about, like the Black Death in England, and we still know about the Justinian plague, which was, I guess, the first Black Death,
Yeah,
in
but
the Eastern Roman Empire.
You know what we have for the Black Plague?
Well, antibiotics now.
Yeah, we have cures for it.
Yeah, yeah, true. Because I guess I mean I feel like this is another sci-fi or future fantasy sort of trope of like, oh, here's the virus and here's this one specific cure for this specific virus. Like we know in the real world that's not how things work. Like, again, back with coronavirus, like the fact that we're testing so many different antivirals that are made for other things. Like a virus is a virus. There's commonality between different types of viruses, and I guess bacteria more, right? Like the way we develop antibiotics is that we develop medicines that target the differences in cell structure or differences in DNA between us and the bacteria. But a lot of bacteria share the same thing. So like, you don't just give penicillin for E. coli, like you give it for a bunch of different bacteria if they're susceptible to it, or you don't just give Cipro for Pseudomonas, like you give it for a bunch of different things, and like the same thing with viruses here. So like, I kind of hate this fantasy trope of like, oh, you need this special root for this one particular virus. Like that's not how, like, we know that's not how it works in real life. So I feel like that we didn't need that here.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's all it's show made for children or people like us, and if they have a conflict resolution, like you need that resolution in the same week.
A show made for 36-year-old children.
Yeah. So, yeah, but overall, like I like both episodes. I thought like it was a pretty good arc over 2 episodes. So,
Yeah, I liked it. I think it's all I got too. So.
so all right, guys. Well, quick episode, but thanks for listening. For Kev, I'm Jay. Tune in next week to hear what we got to talk about. You can catch our show on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and have a good week.